Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Black Men Speak. I am the J.R. Stewart.
And I am Tommy D. Duncan III, otherwise known as TD3. It is Wednesday, December the 11th, 2024. And if it's Wednesday night,
It's certainly Black Men Speak. So if you haven't already, please hit the like button. Help us with the algorithm. Hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when new shows are uploaded, which is every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Central. The show starts at 8 p.m. Central, but we upload to 5 streaming sites at 9 p.m. after the show ends. And if you're here watching the show live, invite a friend, family member, co-worker, so you guys have something interesting to talk about for the rest of the week. This is the place to be. You want to get up-to-date information about what's going on in the Black community on social media. And Tom, I know we have an all-star guest that's going to be on tonight. So why don't you tell us a little bit about our guest before we start talking about the college football brackets? We finally gotten there.
Yes, sir. All right, folks, we want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. We have got a couple of things that we want to address. We want to give a shout out to Miss Audrey K, who is on the chat line. And so if you are not on the chat line yet, you need to join us so that your voice can be heard and your questions can be asked on tonight's show, because I think this is one that you're going to definitely want to be plugged into. So definitely join the chat line if you've not already done so. Like this show. Make sure you subscribe if you've not already done so. And, of course, share this content if you hear something valuable that you or your friends, family members, or loved ones can benefit from. So with that being said, it is time to get this party started right, Jimmy. So we are in the throes of the Christmas season. I know, Jimmy, you've been probably hearing all the doggone Christmas songs every place you go like I have.
Oh, well, I enjoy the Christmas spirit season, Tom. So it's this is the Eve month for next year. And next year, 2025, people, we're bringing the heat. So you've asked for more information on business development. So 2025, we're dedicating the year to focus more on business development. So please come back so you can learn how to start a business, maintain a business, grow a business. And we're going to bring on the people with that kind of information and expertise. And people, if you have to go out there and buy that kind of talent, it will cost you a great deal of money. When all you have to do is tune in here every week, 8 p.m. Central, and get it for free. So like Brother Tommy said, if you're not logged into the chat, log in, because we got Brother Greg coming on. He's going to be bringing the heat. And I know you're going to have questions. And so put your question out there early so we have time to get to them. Don't wait till 8:55 to start trying to post questions.
All right, Jimmy. Well, before we get to our subject for this evening, we'll be talking about goal and vision setting. You've got to execute. I'm looking forward to seeing what Greg is going to be bringing to the table. But, we've been talking about this for the last 4 to 5 months, Jimmy, and we have finally gotten to the announcements of the finals, college football playoff rankings and playoff bracket, Jimmy. And it was an interesting playoff. I don't know if you saw the games. I think I saw, I think 4 of the conference championships this past weekend, man. And there were a couple in particular that I was interested in. The Oregon Penn State game, I wanted to see what that was like. And I was then flipping between SMU and Clemson. And man, I was interested and pleasantly surprised about seeing what SMU could do, and they definitely showed that they could belong. But I'm gonna let you go ahead and get started. Give us your observations, then we'll get into it.
I think that the biggest beneficiary of this system was Clemson. They won the ACC, so the 5 conference champions would get some kind of an entry in, and of course, I think they were ranked 16th in the nation.
Yep.
So they're the only team that was outside the top 12 to get put in. And the team I thought that got the shaft this year, just like last year, was Miami. They got denied because the quarterback got hurt last year from having a chance to play for a national title. And then this year they were just totally bounced out. I guess having 3 ACC teams in there wasn't going to work. So, but I think overall, The other 11, I think they got right. Um, I'm not too happy that my team Alabama didn't make it, but
I knew that one. I knew that was coming.
you know what, Tom? They lost to Oklahoma, a 500 team that wasn't even ranked, and so they had their chances. They lost to Vandy, lost to Tennessee. So of those three losses, if they could have just took care of business against Oklahoma, they would have been in. So they had their chance. I don't think there were any three lost teams besides Clemson
Yeah,
that made it in.
I know.
Everybody was either we know Oregon's undefeated,
Yeah,
a bunch of one loss teams, two lost teams, and then Clemson with only three lost teams. Having two, three lost teams in time may have been too much. So I'm glad they cut it off and didn't allow Alabama to sneak in. Um, so it just goes to show, Tom, that every game is meaningful. If you lose a game or two, you can still survive it. But what you can't survive is three losses, unless you win a conference title. And it's hard to win a conference title for one of the five big conferences with three losses.
I would have to agree with you on that. And if we look at, just for those out there who maybe don't follow football, but maybe watching the games right now, the way this works, you have 12 teams that are in a playoff bracket. The conference champions from the Big Five, they automatically get in. And then, the next best ranked teams going up to number 12, they go in there. So we kind of have a couple of layers to this. I think we have one conference champ who is actually going to be playing the first weekend, December the 20th and 21st. And then you got four byes that'll be automatically bidded into the quarterfinals. So in the quarterfinals, you've got Oregon, who is number one, Georgia, who's number two, beat Texas in the SEC championship. You've got Boise State, who is number three, and Arizona State number four. They got the bye, so they don't have to play the first weekend on December the 20th and the 21st. But in the first round, Jimmy, I think you got four interesting matchups. You got Clemson and Texas, Tennessee and Ohio State, SMU and Penn State, and Indiana and Notre Dame. Which of those matchup of those four games intrigues you the most?
Well, I'm a little biased, Tom. I'm going to go with Texas. And it's a probably game I'm going to watch and make sure I focus on. I'll try to catch all four of them in the first round, but I'm definitely going to watch the Texas game and be cheering for Texas. So we have a chance, Tom. I mean, I think in the fifth spot, I think Texas is the fifth seed. They really have the first and second round. They're capable of winning those two games.
Agreed.
And then they're the juggernaut is going to come to them when they have to meet Oregon in the quarterfinals. Up until then, they should have a straight path up until they get to the Ducks. SMU is another one. We have two Texas teams, Tom.
I know.
That's in the
Did you see the SMU Clemson game?
And so we need to be cheering for both Texas and SMU. Give them as much love as possible to do as much damage as possible. I really wanted to say that last year, this time, Tom, when Texas was preparing to move to the SEC, I didn't think it was going to work out well for them. I thought that pond was going to be too large. Thought the fish in that pond were going to be too big, and that maybe they should stay in the pond they were in. They were already the biggest fish in that pond, and so I was wrong. They seem to be able to hold their own in the SEC. So it looks like them and Texas A&M are doing okay. A&M could have done a little better this year, but Texas definitely brought in, held their own. So I hope they continue to recruit well and stay competitive because we know how tough it is to survive in the SEC.
And I will add on top of that, I think that if this was a typical SEC year, you would probably be right. But if you look at Alabama, they are not the same team now that they no longer have Saban, at least not this year. Georgia, they are a very good team, but they are not the Georgia that won a championship a couple of years ago. And then when you look at the brutal schedule that you got through, I think Texas got lucky in their first year in the SEC because the Blue Bloods who typically dominate the SEC just weren't as strong as they typically.
Well, Tom, you got the portal and the NFL draft.
Yeah.
And that has depleted both Georgia and Alabama. But I expect both of them to rebound because they had to play a lot of freshmen this year, a lot of young players. But I expect both of them to rebound next year and be back. So I think you'll have up and down and a little fluidity in the SEC. But when the Blue Bloods are at their weakest, that's when you need to be at your strongest, because when they rebound and come back the following year, you need to be prepared to be in a dogfight. I think that's what it's going to be. Georgia on the east side, or they go east west in the SEC or north south. How do they divide them?
East west.
East west. Yeah, Georgia on the east side, Alabama on the west side. So now, yeah, I think next year SEC is going to be much more competitive than what they were this year with the Blue Bloods. So
Gotcha. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and make my picks right now. In these 4 games, you got Clemson and Texas. After watching Clemson and SMU, I expect Texas to take that.
Yeah, Texas will win that game
and go up against Arizona State. With Tennessee and Ohio State, I've seen both of those teams play. I think Tennessee, they're a good team, but they've got some holes.
They surprise you though, Tom.
Yeah,
they surprised some teams this year. Just when you want to count Tennessee out. They play aggressively. They go for a lot on fourth down. So I'm going to go with Tennessee on that one.
I'm going to go with Ohio State. I think Tennessee they have a good team, but I see them not being streaky, but they've got some flaws that can be exploited. So I'm going with Ohio State. SMU and Penn State. My heart is with SMU, but I've seen Penn State play a couple of times.
I haven't seen Penn State play, but Tom, I got to go with Texas.
Penn State is big. They are physical. They got some speed, and they actually got a quarterback. They're not just a running team.
Okay.
So my heart is with SMU. I really want them to win. I would love for them to win, but
put me down for SMU.
Okay, yeah, I'll put you down for SMU. Indiana and Notre Dame. I've seen both teams play this year. I'm going to go with Notre Dame. Both of them are good teams. I think it's going to come down to the best coaching. And I'm going with Coach Freeman with Notre Dame as well. So I'm going to pick Notre Dame.
Tom. I'll go with the upset. Give me Indiana.
Good deal. And I'm hoping you win with SMU over Penn State, but I've seen Penn State play a couple times, man. That's going to be tough. I will say this. I got mad respect for SMU. Their quarterback, Kevin Jennings from South Oak Cliff High School. That kid turned the ball over a couple of times in the first half. But you know what? He did not blink. He did not get – the game was not too big for him. He stuck to the plan, and they were just one bad.
I didn't know he was a sock kid.
He's a sock kid. He was one special teams play from going into overtime and possibly winning that game. So Kevin Jennings is on my radar. He's just a sophomore. He's undersized, 6 feet tall, 190 pounds, but that kid can straight up ball. So I'm going to
ball.
I'm calling Penn State, but I'm going to be rooting for SMU.
Okay.
All right, Jimmy. So those are our picks. Next week we still got another week before the game, so we'll see what happens. But with that being said, it is a quarter after the hour. It is time to bring on our special guest. What I'm going to do is introduce our good friend and supporter of Black Men Speak, so you'll know a little bit about him. Mr. Harrington, Gregory Harrington, was raised in Tickfall, Louisiana. After graduating from Jackson State University with a bachelor's degree in computer science, he moved on to Austin to work with IBM throughout his career. He's worked at other technology companies throughout the country, where he served 19 years through last year in multiple roles in sales, technical services, and marketing. He has also had a great passion for the community. He served in several leadership capacities on boards of directors, such as founding president of Black Professional Alliance, where he actually started the Professional Choice Awards. He has also served on the board of directors of the National Society of Black Engineers, Austin Professionals chapters, serving as president, vice president, and treasurer. So obviously he deals with money as well. He founded the Back to School Parade in 2008, where the mission is to celebrate education and the return to school, and in the form of a parade, and to use those proceeds to purchase school supplies for young people who are in need. Throughout the time between 2018 to 2013, they were able to give over 7,000 backpacks away filled with grade-appropriate school supplies. So he's done a lot and had a great passion for working with young people in education, which, of course, is one of our passions as well. He is a proud brother of the Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, where he has served on the board of directors for the Gamma Eta Lambda, which is the Austin chapter, and currently serves as the immediate past president. He is a faithful member of the Alpha Seventh-day Adventist Church, where he has served in a number of different roles with the current as a community service chair. And throughout his life, even as a young man, he has been speaking both as a motivational speaker and a master of ceremony. He is the current founder and CEO of Be Positive Blood Type, which is his speaking business, where he is speaking positivity into the heart. And you guessed it, he is a blood type B+. He has a 14-year-old daughter, the true CEO who runs the show, Madison Simone Harrington, and above all positions and titles, his most prized position is father of an amazing young lady. So with that being said, we would like to welcome our good friend and our special guest, Brother Gregory Harrington. What's going on, bro?
Man,
Brother Greg,
I'm so happy to be here, baby. I'm so happy to be here.
where did Tommy say you're from? Where did you say
that great and mighty city of Tickfall? If nobody put it on the map, you know I'm gonna put it on there.
Did you say Tickfall, Louisiana?
That city, baby. That city.
You know, I worked at UPS, and it was a master sorter, and I thought I knew every city in little hellhole in Louisiana. I have never heard of this one.
That's exactly why I'm on it. We could cut the whole program right now because of that. We have brought Tickfall on this map, on your podcast to your audience, and guess what? They are loving it, and now the world.
The world, yes, bringing it to the world.
Those about Tickfall, Louisiana, that great and mighty city. It's about an hour north of New Orleans, about 45 minutes east of Baton Rouge. In the foot, we in the foot now. You know, there's an ankle in the foot. We in the foot. We down there in the foot of the boot. You know,
down in Bahama.
Man, Hammond. You ever heard of Hammond?
Hammond, Louisiana, yeah, Covington and
Hammond and Tickfall side by side, man.
Yeah, really.
But I'm from Tickfall. I'm not from Hammond.
Okay,
I put Tickfall on the map. Majority of time, nobody know what Hammond is either.
On that side of the lake. Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard of Tickfall. That's a new one. I don't even think I've ever seen a package routed for Tickfall while I was at UPS for a year.
You are absolutely welcome. You're welcome.
But yes, Tickfall on the map.
All right. All right. Well, hey, man, we're so happy and excited to have you here today, man. Of course, we've known each other for several years, and man, I know you've had a lot of different talents that you bring to the table. So we're first, I'm letting the audience know that you're in for a special treat. Second, this will not be the last time that he is here as a special guest, because this man is a man of many talents, and this is one of the areas that he wants to add value to you, our audience, this evening on goal and vision setting. And it is the perfect time of the year since we are in December. So we want to ask you to tune in, pay attention, get your popcorn out, get your notepad and your pencil. So
and get your fingers ready. Get on that keyboard, ask some questions.
So let's get talking. Vision and goal setting. We're at this time of the year, everybody's kind of talking about their New Year's resolution, everything that they didn't do this year that they're going to try to push out the next year. So tell us a little bit about this particular area where you've been working with people over years about vision, goal, and vision setting, why it's so important, what you have learned, and then we can get into the meat and potatoes.
You hit it right on the head. You hit the nail on the top of the head. People are oftentimes having these ideas that honestly can transform our lives, but somehow they don't execute on them. They never jump. People set resolutions every year. Some who say they never do, they typically have something or have some thought about it. But the overwhelming task is, how do you get that thing done? And so we're constantly having conversations in companies where they're not being able to execute their strategies that they talk about, how to even define what their goals are, how to understand the true vision of what they're talking about. And what I do is I come in and kind of make it easy. I make it simple, simplify what a lot of people are oftentimes thinking is difficult. So now we actually have the ability to bring these great ideas to life. We now have the opportunity to get the most productivity and efficiency from those who may not have even put that to the test. They may have felt that they don't even have the opportunity to even bring their thoughts forward. And so I help even bring those guys understanding their value. And so that's how we get a lot of goals and vision set. But you can set the goal all day, but at the end of the day, you got to execute that thing.
So just so our audience is clear, And then we know you're a big baller. I've been knowing you for a long time. Do you work with corporations, individuals, families, churches? Tell me about who you work with, so anyone who's listening now or in the future, they will know who is your target market. What problem are you fixing?
Man, this is the truth of the matter is I work with corporations, schools, colleges, and the individual, because the individual may have a goal that they're trying to achieve, and just simply, like, think about it. Some things are just simply trying to lose weight, trying to tone up a little bit. Like, one of my goals by my 50, I'm saying it on this podcast, I've been working it too. One of my goals is to be a little more toned by the time I turn 50. Remember, I only got 2 months now. Well, 3 now in March. I turned big 50. I'm not the only one. Some people have those individual tasks. Some may have an individual task of starting a business, right? Some corporations are constantly right there at the edge and not getting over the hump. And I teach them, I identify different things that they can work on and how to measure their success, how to change their culture into a culture that's almost getting there, almost getting to the finish line, and not just get to the finish line, but exceed it. So pretty much, when you talk about goal and vision, everybody can use some improvement in that area.
So let me ask you this, Brother Greg.
Yes.
Should you, if you have goals, we all do, should you share them with others before you get started, and run the risk of the naysayers deflating your drive, or should you keep it to yourself and just quietly go out there and get it done?
I'm more of the needs to basis, right? Now, for me personally, I know a lot of people, right? And the Debbie Downers, the haters. It's already a big enough journey for you to make that stride. Why would you even give them energy to bring that negative energy back to you?
At a point.
But for those who will help you, you definitely want to be in a position. I talk about that in our session. I'm gonna talk about that. Is you got to sell that thing. Closed mouths do not get fed. So if you got a product or service, you got to be out there prophesying about it. You got to market it. We are all consumers of marketing on a daily basis. So at the end of the day, you have to market your own product better than anybody else can. And as you make strides, there are so many wheels out there. There's zero reasons to reinvent one. Oftentimes, they may have done your version of the wheel, but there are small little adjustments that they can do for the wheel so other people can help you. So you identify those specific people for mentorship and coaching. And maybe it may not even be somebody in that wheel making business, but it may be somebody who understands the business side that you may be short on. Like I talk about all the time, we have this thing called MWAs, minimum wage activities, right? Sometimes you just got to get some help and pay that person to do that work. If I have somebody who's a good chef, he or she loves to cook, but he or she may not be good on a website. He or she may not be good on social media. He or she may not be good on the back end business, setting up their corporation or their LLC, running the transaction. They just want to cook. So so to answer your question, sometimes you have to get people involved just to make sure that you're successful, because that's one of the things that I'm gonna talk about in here. It's like, even though that is a scatterbrain approach, and that scatterbrain approach basically have you doing too much, and then you become overwhelmed and never get any one thing done. And so we got to drop that scatterbrain approach, and eventually you'll have the success that you'll gain. And be mindful. I understand sometimes you actually may not have the money to pay somebody to do these steps, right? So you'll try to take it on yourself. But man, I think we all believe there's somebody who can help us in our network. We got family, friends, people we trust. Once again, people we trust. One more again, people we trust, and people that have credentials. And so if you have that in your bag, then you have a lot. So those are people you share. It's business, right? It's the same concept of when people sign non-disclosure agreements at companies and NDAs. They're doing it because they don't want to share that information up front. It's the same thought here. Don't give that information out to people who really don't need to know it. And that's it, because you spot on. You'll have so many Debbie Downers in your against you because they haven't been able to fulfill their goals. So you send those Debbie Downers to me, and I can help them fulfill their goals, because oftentimes they have a shortcoming themselves. So yeah.
So now that we're in the middle of December, almost, most people are in the process of evaluating what their last year looked like, what they got accomplished, what they didn't get accomplished, and then they kind of give themselves a scorecard, which a lot of companies use. Some individuals use that as well. How did this last year turn out, and what should next year look like? Give us a framework of, in your model, what you should be looking at now, or how you should be looking at things now that we're in December, and then forward. So kind of looking in the rearview mirror and then through the windshield. What do you recommend? What are your thoughts? What can you share with me?
I think the best thing that you just said is the scorecard. The scorecard. The scorecard. And the reason why that's so important is because you have to be honest with where you are. Right? Me and my journey to be a little more toned by the time I turned 50. After I came back from Paris for the Olympics, I don't feel like I've been to the gym enough times. That was August. We're in December.
You got to get cracking.
I got to be honest. So if I don't look the way I plan to look, I want to look. I can't be mad with anybody but myself.
Right.
So we got to be honest with these goals. If you're trying to save money and you find yourself at the outlet every weekend, come on. Got clothes in your closet that still got labels. Right? Even if you just simply think about how much food we eat out.
Right.
Are you really trying to be conscious about money savings? If you're trying to improve your credit score, if a company's trying to achieve a goal, do you have the right people in place? Are we going by people who are just our friends and loved ones? Or, this person's been on board for a while, so let's ride it out. Or do we need to get some fresh talent in there? I'm not saying cut anybody, but it's like it don't hurt to have the old with the new. You got to be honest with where you are. And the thing about it, you have to revisit your goal. Sometimes the goal is just too broad and you never get anything done. You got to narrow the thing down.
How do you know? How do you measure? How do you know when your goal is too broad?
To say, how do you know when your goal is too broad? Because you're not getting the results you want. That's basically it. If you're not able to see the results and you can't define where you really want to go, you can't actually, what's the old adage to say, you want to begin with the end in mind. You know what good looks like. And if you ain't matching what good looks like, there's a huge gap. One of the things that I teach on is the 4 disciplines of execution. A lot of times in the same conversation, we talk about the paralysis of analysis, right? We just want to sit there and study charts and overanalyze stuff, and we don't even move. We're sometimes scared to move. And one of the biggest things that oftentimes happen, man, I'm scared to fail. Failure is part of the process. Failure is 100% part of the process.
Yes,
I'm a computer science guy. So there's a whole phase for testing. In the life cycle of software development, any product life cycle, there's a phase of testing. That is to find the failures. Test it to failure to see if what you expected it to do is what it's doing. But more importantly, don't break what was already working. This is part of our life cycle for software. Anything else we just got to accept that failure may happen. And guess what? Out of all of the testing we have, once it launches, you're still going to have failure. It's just part of the process. It's something that fell through the cracks. Something that fell through the cracks. I personally have 2 Cybertrucks right now. That's not because I'm smiling and grinning. It's because one of them is a lemon. One of them trucks is a straight lemon. That truck is amazing when it's good. Absolutely amazing when it's good. My assumption is that Tesla did an amazing job at their testing. But this issue that I have is literally crab walking. We don't supposed to crab walk. That is not a feature.
So you mentioned one of the obstacles was money.
Well, but
which is a reality. I mean, you need capital sometimes to
everybody
get
business.
started. But here's one of the things that I've noticed from some of the most successful people out there is that the people who really have the vision and the passion about what they're doing, sometimes they can draw others to them just on the passion energy. So sometimes people go join um, you and your effort and your quest, not because you have money, because they see the vision and they believe in it, because you were able to sell the vision itself. You were passionate about it, you understood it, you can explain it where others can see it. And if they believe that they can help you grow that, you may not need as, like you said, the person who wants to cook, you got a vision for building a restaurant. I may not be able to pay you chef money up front, but together, if we get this off the ground, and I can convince you that there's a chance we can make this work, and that the riches will come, you may be willing to donate some of your time up front. So don't
1000%.
don't ever think that you can't get started because you don't have the money. Like you said, clean up your credit, saving your money, stop eating out, stop wasting money is important when you're trying to raise capital. But also, if you can't sell yourself and your vision, and I'm a big believer on that I talk to a lot of small, I go to these chamber of commerce meetings, meet people who want to start a business, and they go out and they buy the computers, they get the office, they have all the trappings of a business. They don't have one single paying customer. And I always say, you need to be able to sell your service and your product first, and then justify getting all these other things after you get a paying customer. But
1000%.
until you get a paying customer, you just have a hobby that you're pouring money into, that you may or may not be able to go sell and get your money back.
Let me speak on that. I'm gonna pause right there. I'm gonna go on that one, follow up on that one. A lot of times, people who do startups, you see the startup months after it's done its thing. Months. A lot of people overlook the fact that there was upfront capital out of personal people's pocket.
Right.
There's a phase called F and F, friends and family. And the first friend is you. You're a friend of your own self. Right? But they'll see oh, this organization, Airbnb, then got funded because they've already had this thing called traction. And what traction is, either customers or at least downloads or dollars, right? Unless it's some crazy, outstanding idea that people are buying pre-revenue, they've had to put their own money into it. And then once they get traction from either followers or downloads or dollars or product sales, whatever the case may be, traction, then they can go pitch it to startups and see if the startups want to become angel investors or put an investor in themselves. But at the end of the day, it's like that up front, people think about the startup component. Like I have a startup myself, Entree. And basically it's the concept of indoor navigation, wayfinding. And so the reality of it is I had to learn how to make that thing work. But the upfront money was me paying developers to develop it. What am I going to go to and talk about slides to somebody I'm asking for millions of dollars? Yeah, we got these slides. No, they want to see the product work. They want to see, and then after they see the product work, how many downloads, how many customers you got, you know what I mean? And how many people are on it. And so that's kind of what it is. So when you're talking about the vision, the thing of vision is like, I'm literal. Things I can see with my eyes, right? Things that I can see with my eyes. You can see money. You can see a high customer satisfaction. You can see the number of downloads. Men lie, women lie, numbers do not lie. Right? Things that you can see. Whenever you're trying to get your mission, a specific task, which a person or group is charged.
Let me ask you this, and I'm going to ask you to navigate across two communities. There are folks who are in corporate who have worked for somebody else for all of their lives or part of their lives, who may be trying to do something different in 2025. And you have people who have been entrepreneurs who probably have a better grasp on this next question. But for those who do not, for those who are wanting to do something different, maybe they want to become an entrepreneur, start a business, give us a clear layman's understanding of the difference between a vision versus a goal? And when do you know when you have a good vision and a good goal or goals?
Well, the main thing that I want to make sure I have as a very specific, kind of going to what I mentioned earlier, the vision is what you can see with your eyes. The goal is basically the finish line.
So what does it mean when you say a vision is something you can see with your eyes? Maybe they can't see it. Maybe they just have a thought or an idea. Maybe they can't see it. So what is a vision versus a goal, and what is a good, clear vision and a good, clear goal?
The way I describe a goal is and a vision. So let me make sure the vision is what you can see with your eyes, right? But the goal is reaching that thing that you foresaw. So think of it like this. Remember I said before, you got to begin with the end in mind. The end is the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
And that's your goal. Beginning is the vision. So once you see those two, you will see that, hey, I'm working towards the finish line. And that finish line is basically every little small step that I get to. Now, I'm a believer. If you can't remember it, it's too long.
So the vision is the
The
vision is the
idea.
destination. The vision is the destination. The vision is the when you run the marathon. The
Yep.
vision is when you get to that destination.
Yep.
What you want it to look like in essence.
Exactly. So you have the vision. Whenever you're talking about the vision itself, you want to be in a position to say, well, I can. It's kind of like the thing of say, faith is a things to hope for. The evidence of things not seen.
Right.
So you can see it with your eyes.
The substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not of unseen.
One thing, and so you want to be in a position you go, I can see this, right? Mm-hmm. This is our vision for our organization, and the goal is the tangible thing that you actually have at the end of it.
How should the goal connect to the vision? And,
all right,
and we want to make sure we're talking to people who have not been through this process before.
All right, and so what you're doing is so then you introduce what you consider. I like to, I'm always thinking it from a sales perspective. All right, in my bio, you mentioned the mission, right, of my back to school parade, and I could repeat that thing right now. And I founded that way back in 2008, right? And the reason why I say this is because the mission helps to bridge the two. The mission is basically a specific task which a person or group is charged, right? So if you have an organization that has a mission, the mission is going to bridge the vision and the goal line. So the beginning and the middle. So if you think about the mission right there in the middle, vision is at the beginning, and your finish line is your goal. And think about whenever you scoring a touchdown, you could see the it's a difference in when you're on the 1 yard line, the other person's territory on the football field versus your own 1 yard line. Another one. Does that make sense? So you can see it, but it's in the distance. I think that's the main thing. You can see the vision, you can see the other end zone, but the goal is to get to that spot. You see a different type of grass on the other side. You see it. And so when you're trying to define your goal, you want to be in a position to make sure that whenever you're talking about a goal itself, you want to make it very, very specific. It can't be broad because you don't know what you really don't have enough information to really tell your team. I think you got to sell your team on what the goal is, and the vision itself will allow you to do that. And be mindful when you're talking about a specific task. Now you're getting involved with the team. So now every team member knows, okay, this is your task, this is your task, this is your task. Collectively, we're going to still stick to the vision to get to our goal, because the vision itself is, once again, what your eyes can see, and the goal is the actual finish line.
So, Brother Gregory, speak to being able or the importance of selling, either yourself, your service, your product. But if you can't sell it, do you really have a legitimate chance at creating a business unless you have just great location, you just have a product that sells itself? Or if you bring people in to sell for you, how you may run the risk that they walk out with your book of customers and hold your business hostage. So it seemed to me that a lot of companies choose to pick their CEOs from the sales ranks. Sales executives would come up who yeah, if you need to go out there and bring in more business to help turn things around, well, you came up to the sales ranks already, so you know the process. But if you can't sell the product or the service, really, what good are you to yourself or to the business?
All right. So it's funny you say that because one of my topics in this session is closed mouths don't get fed. You got to be in a position to sell your product. And that's why it's so important to
Do you do
understand
sales
your
training
vision.
in your coaching? Do you do sales
Oh,
coaching?
absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's power in the follow-up. So you got to be in a position to do that. But the main thing is you got to sell it. What good is the idea that I have if I don't have anybody, kind of like what you say, I don't have any customers. But nobody should be able to sell it better than me. Now, go forward with the ones who are introverts and who are not happy to sell. You guys got to get some help, man. You got to get some help. You know, like I tell you 100%, my brother is a chef extraordinary. He can throw down. And whenever he takes his cooking so seriously that he's talking about the business of it, man. My brother, matter of fact, he might be on Chef Randall. So if y'all need some food from a good chef, Big R, there's the Harrington Cuisine, you know, on Facebook and the Instagram.
okay.
He can cook, right? But majority of the stuff that he posts on Instagram, his wife is doing it,
Gotcha.
right? So he's gotten some assistance,
So
right?
she is his marketing executive.
Yeah, but for the record, she can cook too. Yeah, like best food I eat is by their house. But
Gotcha.
that's the thing about it. So if you find somebody with a sales maker, that's a sales maker, and that's not your strong suit, unfortunately, Jimmy, you just gotta take the chance. And if they
I
take the
agree.
customer, so be it. But the hope is that your product is so good that your customers will be loyal
I
to
think
you.
that's where that market dominating position, and you were talking about the mission statement, needs to be incorporated in that mission statement to make that product. If you can't, if you're not very good at selling it, you better have a product that sells itself. Now, Tommy is one of those master sellers. I mean, when you're talking about strategy and knowledge, I mean, he is very good. I told him he should start coaching and consulting
I
and
may have to
teaching
look at
people.
that. I may have to put that on my vision board
I
for
co-sign
You
2020.
on
know.
that, Jimmy. I totally co-sign on it. I've seen him in action. So
Oh
I
yeah,
definitely
he's great. I've told him that
lovable,
for
personable,
years.
knows stuff.
Well, let me do this. We got a couple of folks on the chat line. I want to make sure we acknowledge. We have a couple of questions, so I want to make sure because we're right at about a quarter till the hour. We got Kenneth Young, who is on the line. We want to thank Kenneth for joining us today. He is on the chat line. Of course, I mentioned cousin Audrey K. Booker, who is on the chat line. We got our good friend and frat brother Frederick V. Roberts, Esquire,
Esquire, another
out
lawyer.
of Prairie View, Texas. I want to thank him for joining us. And we have Miss Tanya Hall on the line, and she does have a couple of questions. And to make sure we have time, I'm gonna get to her questions. She said, around this time of the year, people start doing vision boards. Vision board parties are very popular. Is the visual boarding technique effective in goal planning, in your opinion?
Absolutely. That goes directly into the 40. What I teach on is not necessarily called a vision board, but what we have is the 4 disciplines of execution. So a short name is 4DX. And one of the main things they talk about is know what to achieve, know what to do to achieve the goal, right? And so that is something that is keeping a compelling scorecard is one of the tenets of the 4 disciplines of execution. So definitely the vision board is basically the same concept. Now, the one thing that those vision boards never talk about is the honest feedback. That's the part you got to do. That's the part you got to do. One of my main pieces of my message is you got to master your craft, right? You got to master your craft. So if you want to grow a business, you got to become immersed in this. And these days, they got a lot of stuff on YouTube that you can do for free, right?
True.
Sometimes you got to cut the check and pay, right? And so at that end of the day, so some of these things on the vision board, they just don't get covered. They talk about, like, if you think about the typical vision board, it talks about nothing but the vision. But if you see the part of this title is you got to execute. You got to execute. I mean, just be honest with you. Think about all the stuff on vision boards. They got a new car, new house. They got a husband, a wife. They got exercise goals. But it never talks about the fact that you got to change your own habits. Kind of going back to what you were asking me earlier, Brother Duncan, is that you were asking about those who were switching careers. Last time I checked, typical guys on salary go in, and we work our hours and we go home every 2 weeks. We check. You got to change your habits when you're an entrepreneur. You don't work, you don't eat.
Literally.
You don't work, you don't eat. So that one is not on the vision board. You got to change your habits. And guess what happened? The best way to get your habits changed is get a coach.
True.
Yeah.
You got to pay to play sometimes. The main reason is because sometimes the biggest reason that it's important to get a coach is because you hustling wrong.
You mentioned being immersed in your craft. Last time I checked, everyone agrees that it generally takes about 10,000 hours to become a subject matter expert on just about anything.
A master.
A master. So are you talking about attaining master level expertise or simply being competent in your craft to get started? I mean, how much effort do I need? Do I need to really be the greatest at what I do to start my business, or do I just need to be kind of good and continue to grow while I start my business?
Oh, I'm a believer. Be kind of good and start to grow.
Okay.
Like even in the speaking business, to get comfortable on stages, I teach people that you're going to have to get the free gigs first. One, you dusting off you dusting off your skills in public speaking, and then the second one is also you're getting the audience and you fine tuning your message, right? And the third one is that you're now getting testimonials, you potentially getting video reels as you speaking, and now you becoming qualified as an expert speaker. You see what I'm saying? So you slowly grow, because the main thing I said, we got to jump. I would not tell anybody. I will never tell anybody to wait for the 10,000 hours of training. Absolutely not. You just slowly build upon what you got to do. The average, like I'll give you a perfect example, going to the speaker conversation. We have, I have gentlemen who are in the speaking business. A lot of people know one of the best speakers in the business right now, Eric Thomas. He started speaking before he even got his degree, right? He's a pastor now. He's a doctor now, but he was speaking before he got his degree. But you got to at least show some sign of learning your gift. Like I can't really say you could cook and you ain't never turned the stove on. You know what I mean? You may not be the best barbecue guy, but you may be good on some sides. So you hone into those sides and you have certain things that you can build upon, and then eventually you get the smaller other things that you want. You got the tomahawk steaks now. You got the lamb chops on the grill. But in a day, you still have to I'm never gonna be the one to tell somebody to wait 10,000 hours to master their craft. You got to continually work on it. And the way that a lot of times you have trial by error. So a lot of times you don't want to sit there and wait. I'm never going to be the one to tell you wait 10,000.
So what makes the ideal client for you? I'm sure you don't want people who just waste your time. And there are some people out there who pay you to waste time. They're really not that serious. But then there are some people who really are serious. I mean, how do you distinguish or filter out the people that you really want to work with because they're serious about it and they're willing to invest in what they're doing versus people who just want to waste time and sort of involve you in it?
Well, what I tell people is if they have a passion for their product, they have to put some skin in the game. And sometimes the training, the coaching is what costs, right? And the thing that I believe, especially in the Black culture, is that we have money for a whole lot of things, but education is somehow not the one that they spend money on.
Yeah, $1.7 trillion at our disposal. So we need to start using to free ourselves.
I got a $2,500 Louis Vuitton bag. But I can't. I ain't got this training, this coaching that I need.
Did you say 2,500 Louis Vuitton something?
Yeah, it's a small bag. That's a small bag, by the way.
Or $600 Air Jordans I'm walking around
Oh
with.
yeah,
And
I
20
got.
pair in the closet.
Yeah, and the thing about it is like you got to put the time in your own professional entity. Like my brother is a chef. Now, I just woke up one morning and started cooking. He went to school. He went to Texas Culinary Academy. He was living. We were roommates, and he didn't have his license at the time. So I'm driving it. I can co-sign it. He is Le Cordon Bleu certified chef with
Okay.
an associate's degree in culinary arts. He is a full-out chef. He just ain't. You can't call him just a cook. You call him Chef Big R, Chef Randall, Harrington Cuisine. Now, some of the it don't take that much on some other things, but he wanted to make sure he had the specialty.
Right.
So now, whenever he come in your cook, it's like he looked the part and he know the part. He's so technical on the stuff I see him cook. We don't have to go to that length on some of the things. Like I have an idea for a product, right? And I just jumped. I just started getting this person I know that knows how to sew, this person I know who knows how to do the shipping, understanding their business. Spend time with the experts in the space. Like I said, there are other people have already been to where you are. So leverage them to get your knowledge. So no, I don't encourage 10,000. I want people to jump and love the taste of failure. And so is she? I know she had. Did she have another question?
Yeah, there is another question. What's the first exercise a person that's serious? What is the first exercise that a person that is serious must do on the way to obtaining or reaching their goals?
Get a coach or a mentor.
Okay.
That's how I know you're serious. Get a coach or a mentor. And not coaching this. So not even if it ain't me. If you got a mentor that's done this before, do that. The reason why a coach is better is because you're paying them to be a coach.
Mm-hmm.
So you paying for their time.
You're investing in yourself.
Yeah, you're investing in yourself. And remember, there's a person outside of your product, and he or she may have a different idea of what the goal is. And so nowadays, just sometimes just go to a role play. All right, tell me about your product. And then we pick apart the different things, what your product is and how you market it, what different pieces you got to play. Some people don't even, like I believe like these days, your social media is cool, but people still looking for a website. Have you put your website up? You know what I mean? Do you have your highlighted products? Whether it's a product on Amazon or it's a product on your website, are you selling directly for the house, the service that you're rendering? You know what I mean? So you got to be in a position to at least have the basics. In the speaker thing, there's a certain lot of things we do here. In goal and vision setting, we talk about the same thing. Know the goal, like your wildly important goal. We call it a WIG, and that's one of the 4 disciplines of execution. Know what to do to achieve the goal, right? And then keep a compelling scorecard. And like I say, the compelling scorecard is important because you're being honest with your progress. And then create a cadence of accountability.
There's a follow-up question. Is there a difference between an accountability partner and a coach?
Absolutely. Accountability partner is oftentimes your friend.
Okay, what is an accountability partner compared to a coach? So you kind of gave us a reference point for what a coach is. What is the accountability partner's responsibility versus the coach's responsibilities?
Well, accountability partner, coach is typically somebody that has some level of expertise in the area, that at least of how to execute. You know what I mean? Of how to get the job done. And the good coaches also have mentors, right? Whereas accountability partner, may or may not show up. So that's the difference. One is paid and one is not. You know what I mean? And I think the accountability partner is just one who may show up whenever it is comfortable for them, just like you may not show up.
So are we saying that your coach is your teacher and your accountability partner is your cheerleader, or is that something
Cheerleader?
different?
That is basically what it is. And I say, I look at it, I tell her like this. Think of it like this. Think of it like this. Whenever you got skin in the game, like and your finances involved, you typically gonna show up, right? But decent money is when you're gonna really show up, right? For example, whenever you go to a gym membership, $30 a month, you may not do that, but with a coach, it's typically a little bit more than $30 a month. I know I am, so But you got to be in a position to put the skin in the game. Now, accountability partners sometimes help, but they're like, for example, one of the things, no knock against Eric Thomas, he's amazing. But one thing he does, he gets up at 3 a.m. That is never gonna be me. I'm never getting up at 3 a.m. to follow anything he says, and it's just not gonna happen, right? So the accountability partner may have them same things, they might have them same early schedules, but I'm a night person. So the coach got to basically follow his client at the schedule the client wants to work in.
How do you know? How do you know when you have a good coach or the right coach? There are a lot of coaches out there. It has become a thing. The coaches have always been out there. We kind of, for instance, we talk about football, we talk about coaches and that, or basketball. But how do you know when you have a good coach or the right coach? Because, in these days and times, if you're trying to start your business, you have to be very cognizant of where you are committing your time and your money. You may not have a lot of money to waste on 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of the wrong coaches.
Yeah. So the one that I look for, and I think for me what's valuable is, one, they're doing things that I need their expertise on. So that's the thing. So have you done this? I hate to say it out loud, but I want to have some, like my mentors who've done stuff, mentors who've had some time in the seat.
How do you know that they have done it versus they are just saying they've done it? I mean, there are a lot of people who say that they have skills that they don't have.
They got to be honest.
Experiences that they don't have.
Yeah, and that's just it, man. That's like, you got to be in a position to talk about, be truthful with where you are. And like I say, I tell people all the time, it's like, I'm never the one that's going to be end all be all, but I'm typically a person or two from somebody, and so I can bring them in. And so those, in my opinion, the best coaches are those who are resourceful and have relationships with other people in those areas. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. One of my I guess my clients is actually wanting to start his speaking, right? Today, not only am I coaching him, but I'm also finding gigs for him to speak on. And I'm texting him, hey, are you available on this date? That ain't my job as a coach, right? Because I have the exposure. I want to give him exposure, but I also believe that he's ready,
So with the last couple of minutes left, explain what the experience is like. For example, my wife and I do some coaching, business coaching, not as successful as yours. But when we'll come in and we'll do an analysis of your business, see what it's worth now, pretty much tell you, put a plan together, and this is what you can expect in 12 months, this is what you can expect in 24 months. And if you follow our plan, this is what you can expect to cash out in the end. So explain to us, like, your process, methodology, what that experience looked like. You just gave us a little bit of it. You're taking on this speaking client, and you're out there finding gigs. What you say that's not part of what you do. I'm assuming that there are probably other things that you do in your coaching business that probably not under contract, but you still do it anyway to help the person grow their business. So explain what the interaction of what it looks like, what's it going to feel like when a person signs that contract to hire you as their coach.
Well, okay, let's hit that, because kind of going back to one of the things that I talked about earlier, the biggest thing that you have to do as an entrepreneur is you got to change your habits. Hands down, you got to change your habits. The little small glance at your Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, now you wasted 3 hours that you could have been doing prospecting. So that's not even, I'm not even to that level yet. First one is, let's set your business up right. Do you have the basics? Do you have a website? Do you have products or services you want to sell? Before you even do that, are those products or services solving a problem? Do you have something are you scratching where it really itches? So that's where I am. We ain't even talking about putting prices on the website yet.
The foundation, just getting that straight first.
Do you have a product that people really want? Right. And I'm like I say, I'm gonna be honest with them, and we're gonna do the role play. Now, even if I disagree, or I'm never going to just chop it all down, but I'm going to ask the questions.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I ask the questions, now my next steps is let's set the business up, right? Business, website, email. Then we gonna get your bank right. Let's get to, do you do PayPal, Cash App, all of them? Who do you use for your money piece, right? What are you using for retaining customers and reaching back out to them? Do you do the social media yourself? Are you pay social media? Or you don't do social media at all? What's your marketing spend? Do you have no marketing spend? Or you just gonna be hitting the streets, going friends and family, right? These are things. Remember, this goes into what I was talking about from the sales. You got to sell the thing, but then now let's hit the prospecting. The prospecting is every day you need to have some version of an hour to reaching out to ask for somebody's stage, asking for somebody's business, going to somebody. If you're trying to be on a like a chef or a cooking, or you selling cupcakes, you got parties that you can reach out to. You know, you got mark, even if it's sending free posts on your website, those eventually get hits, right? What about are you reaching out? Are you making phone calls? Hey, I know you may not have a birthday party coming up right now, but keep my name. Consider me whenever you do have a birthday party coming up. I cook this, I cook that. And then let's say you do that once, at least an hour or two every day. Then you got to dedicate a time for your CEO business. Who do we have to pay? Have we collected money that we need to get paid from? Have we also done our taxes? You know, things like that. Have we, some people have limousine services. Understanding when are we on, do you have all the correct credentials in the city which you're in to have a chauffeur service? Have you paid your big boy insurance? Have you renewed your thing? This is business structure. And then the biggest thing that I talk about is you got to execute. And the execution is you got to sell that thing. You got to be in a position to really think. And don't get it confused. I'm guilty of some of these myself. I had to fire myself one time.
It happens.
I had to fire myself one time because I was not doing what I needed to do. And I had a friend of mine to come in. I told her I want her to be the CEO of me. But she said she'd just be the COO. I was so serious because she did a good job of doing some of the project management that I wasn't doing, especially when I was still in another organization. Once again, scatterbrain approach. You know what I mean? And so these are the things that I do. So now we're really digging into how many customers did you call? How many did you follow up with? How many customers did you transition? How many free, even if you're doing free events, you know what I mean? Even if you're doing free events, that counts, right? Because eventually, as you're doing these free events, the hope is that you would transition these guys to customers of your own. Right. You know what I mean? You all have a whole audience that I don't have. And hopefully with some of my promotion on my page, hopefully they see you all as well. Mm-hmm. And so maybe they'll get to, and they'll start potentially joining as well. Because I definitely posted on my page and they'll get a chance to see the replays.
If you're not reaching your goals, just keep increasing the effort.
Yeah. That's it. But you got to be in a position to start looking at, like I mentioned, you got to keep a compelling scorecard. And when I say compelling, I equally say an honest scorecard. And that's really important whenever you're talking about really renewing your strength and understanding your goals that you're trying to achieve. Make them plain, make them simple. Sometimes they got these big words that don't even matter, and some people get stuck on the logo. I'm like, man, that logo means nothing if you ain't doing
nothing.
Nothing.
And we are pretty much out of time right now, about 5 minutes past the hour. But since we own the show, we can do that. But I want you to give us some closing comments to our audience out there. Of course, we want to thank you for being on here. Obviously, we're going to have you back on pretty soon. There is
4 weeks.
Yeah, Kevin.
Gregory.
Yeah, and we got a couple of comments I wanted to make sure that people were aware of. Mr. Kevin Johnson said, take a look at SCORE and the SBA coaching programs for coaching for entrepreneurs. And Brother Roberts, Frederick V. Roberts said, great suggestions, Kevin. I can testify. Still in contact with my SCORE coach from 20 years ago as well. Of course, for those who need to get in contact with our coach extraordinaire, we have his contact information down here. So anyone who wants to get in contact with Brother Gregory Harrington, 912-799-0093. Greg at bpositivebloodtype.com. That is not BE, but just the letter B, positivebloodtype.com, or www.bpositivebloodtype.com on his website. Now, I will yield the floor to you to close us out with your final comments.
Well, what I will say is this: there's oftentimes a story that I bring up, and it just boils down to, I make it real brief. My brother was at the same ship I'm telling you about, was having seizures, and just constantly, almost two weeks he having a seizure. And this one time, it was definitely different. Come to the house, pick him up, go to the hospital, and throughout these years he having seizures, this for some reason this was different, right? And I took him. They played like he was all good. Sent him home. Next day, like he is not out of it yet. I called my parents from Tickfaw, Louisiana. He come back. They come here now. Take him to the hospital. We take him to the hospital. They hold him in for a week this time. Maybe my mama was like, "Yeah, something ain't right." Hold him in for a week. Remember, a neurologist had prescribed him his medicine and diagnosed him with epilepsy. However, at the end of this week, he had a different neurologist who specialized in epilepsy. See, the first one specialized in strokes. This next one specialized in epilepsy. That difference in specialty transformed my brother's life, so he didn't have another seizure for 7 years. My brother is a thriving chef now because of the difference of a coach that knew exactly what he needed to do. I speak to you today because of the same thing. Just like my brother had that transformation, I equally can apply and do the same transformation for your business. Oftentimes in our space, we simply do not have the coaching. And that means the blind is leading the blind. So I say to you, look me up on bepositivebloodtype.com, and I could be your coach as well to help you achieve your goals. We're only speaking positivity into the heart.
All right. We want to thank you, Greg, for coming on. Of course, we'll be definitely talking to you next year and having you back on the show. For those who are out there, we want to thank you for sharing your time with us this evening. You know how to get in contact with Mr. Harrington. You all have a great weekend. Of course, we will be back next week because if it is Wednesday night, Jimmy.
Certainly, Black Man Speaking. Let me say one thing before we close the show out, Tom, as far as coaching are concerned. There is one thing that Brother Greg said that struck me. You hear very few coaches that actually say this. There are 100,000 plus coaches out there, so you can get advice from anybody who's read a business book. But very few are willing to invest their time and effort to go out there and help you build your business, get clients, and who care enough, not just to take your money and give you some advice and walk away, but to invest in your success. And that's what you want. So, I know there's score coaches out there with SBA. There are a ton of other business coaches out there. But folks, give Brother Harrington a chance. Go to his website, get his information. Here's a brother who's investing his time and effort into helping you grow in your business. Like I said, he's willing to go outside of his contract to help you get clients and invest in your business. That's what you want from a coach. Someone who's invested in you as a person, who see the potential, who believe in your product and service, and who's willing to help you get it off the ground. With that being said, we'll be back next week. Brother Greg, I'm hoping we get you back in 4 weeks to come back. I was hoping we can make this a series for the next couple of months, the second second Wednesday of each month. But we'll talk about that after the show, about how we can get you back next month.
I applaud y'all for your work that y'all are doing and being so consistent. And I'm honored. I'm absolutely honored to be on y'all stage. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Y'all keep up the good work. What y'all are doing is so needed. And I'm looking to so many great things as a result of your work, consistent work. Okay. And by the way, go Jackson State. I love.
Yeah.
And go Colorado.
There you go. Remind you, we'll give a shout out to Colorado also.
Yeah, absolutely. We want them to be successful because them Jackson State boys. And plus, I'm a super Deion fan. So I literally did the Deion Sanders as I was crossing the Jackson State stage. I wish somebody had that video. I wish somebody had that video of me crossing stage when I got my degree from Jackson State. I definitely do the Deion Prime on the stage way back on May the 10th, 1997. Somebody out there in land, Jackson State. If y'all got a video, holla at your boy. I definitely need to see that.
There you go.